No, no. Feet flat on the floor, about a hip's width apart. Align your shoulders with your hips and your ears with your shoulders. And imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light. And it stretches from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. Just imagine you're lengthening your spine, putting some space in between your vertebrae. And go to the crown of the head and relax the scalp and the forehead, even your eyebrows and your eyes, the back of the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the area around the mouth, back of the tongue. Relax your jaw, the temples, the ears, the inner ear, the back of the head, the neck, and allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. Relax the throat, the chest, and the belly, and all of your limbs. Notice the sensation of the air as you inhale and exhale. Nostrils around the thoracic cavity and maybe the belly. And be aware of sound in your environment, any sort of sensory information, maybe smells. And try not to investigate with the mind. Just allow it to be in the same place your body is. And then notice what is in the mind this evening. Put some space in between your thoughts. Try not to criticize what's in your mind. Just be curious. Just allowing the thoughts to arise and abide. And if you don't kind of follow or engage, they'll just kind of move along. They'll, almost like atrophy. If you don't give all those kind of nonsense thoughts energy, they've got nowhere to go. Then bring to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones, your strangers, the ones you don't like very much. Be aware these relationships can change. They are interchangeable, that friend, that enemy, that stranger. And regardless of how you think about any one of them at any particular time, they're all equal. They want to be happy. They don't want to suffer, and they all have an extraordinary capacity for a Buddha mind. So, the person you didn't like once, then maybe you start to like, they're just the same as they were 2 days ago, a week ago. You just see them differently. So I think we'll do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all the sentient beings. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind, and equally we can change it by creating positivity instead. And we start with the power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this life, in this day, and in all our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. We experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we might experience, and we know from our present suffering we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I am sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance. So we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor who has the methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we need the Buddha Vajrasattva to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head, facing the same way as you. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of this beautiful, radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face, and his eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two, and this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed, and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you may have harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And we can also think then about those people maybe have harmed you, and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result in suffering for them sometime in the future. So we just make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to this power of remedy, and this is a medicine doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body. And imagine Vajrasattva very compassionately sends a powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. So imagine that, let's go back. Imagine the Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar. You imagine it's coming out of a hose quite forcefully, and it just enters your crown and pours into your entire body and fills you completely. And it forces out of the lower orifices all the negativity, all the harm you've done with your body, any living being, in the form of inky liquid. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Am Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Am Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Am Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Am Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Am Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything other than benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So you imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs and getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Am Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Am Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anarakta meboa, sawasidi mimpiata sawa kama sita me, sitam shiyam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagawan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe. Vajrasafa samaya manupalaya, vajrasafa dina patita, jida meboa, situkaya meboa, sipokaya meboa, anarakta meboa, sawasidi mimpiata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Padita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified. And imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of our mind. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra. And this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's pretty much the same as when you walk into a pitch black room and you flick on a switch and the light comes instantly. So think of sort of the analogy is the same. The light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra and all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment, neediness, bitterness, anger, jealousy, depression, anxiety, all that kind of, ruminations, all our disappointments, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jida Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Karo Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuro Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satva A Hum Pe. So be delighted now that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And imagine there's no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is the purification of even the imprints of negative energy of your body, speech, and mind. So you imagine Vajrasattva sends light and this kind of a nectar. And so imagine the nectar coming, pushing down all the negativities of the body, and then the nectar coming again, pushing up all the negativities of the speech, and then the light coming again and just kind of eradicating all the negativities of the mind. And this way you've completely eradicated even those subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Nupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Nupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drida Mebowa Situkaya Mebowa Sipokaya Mebowa Anarakta Mebowa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe. So now feel completely purified. And there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. So really imagine that even the subtlest, kind of obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to the power of resolve, and that's the fourth and final step in the purification process. And it's a really crucial one. This is this determination to refrain from harming with your body and your speech and your mind. And so without this determination, without making a decision of any kind, we are going to keep doing the same old stuff over and over again. So the determination becomes like a beacon that guides our body and our speech and our mind in new directions, more positive directions. So rejoice in your efforts coming along this evening, this morning, early in the morning, middle of the night, late in the evening, late at night. There's lots of you here from many different time zones. So, rejoice in your efforts. There's so many other things you could be doing with your time, and yet you chose to spend it half an hour of your time here. So rejoice in that effort. And then think about, like something you'd like to work on. Maybe you're just very reactive. So that could be something and that kind of tends to hurt people. So maybe you could sort of think about calming down some of your reactivity. Or maybe you have other kinds of habits. So just think about just choose something. Keep it really simple. Don't make it expansive or big deal. Just choose something very little and chip away. Vajrasattva is delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown, and think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next Rinpoche would recommend to meditate on emptiness. And he would say, in emptiness there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. You can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I have created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So let's just do chanting the names of Manjushri. With journeys fruitful, travelling everywhere, as swift as thought in all Tathagatas, a victor, slayer of foes, triumphant lord, a universal king with forces great. Assembly head, instructor for assemblies, assembly lord, assembly chief, the ruler, most influential, bearing precious burdens, not other bound, his way the greatest way. The lord of speech, the master of expression, most skilled in words, adept with language, truthful with boundless words, the teacher of the truth, providing teachings on the fourfold truth. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Let's have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, for the swift return of our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then for all of your own individual teachers. Okay. Thank you so much for hosting, Bill, and I will see you, some of you, tomorrow morning. Okay. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.